Writer Rob Perry wrote of Steve Banks' work, "The world of American artist Steve Banks is that of Star Wars, Dunkin' Donuts, McDonald's, and comic strips. It is that popular culture with which he is preoccupied, and critically so. He urges the observer to relate to it and to also have an opinion about it." Personally, I believe he is a prime example of what Gary Panter would refer to as a recombo archaeologist. Steve, Steve.
Oh, hey.
Thanks so much for inviting us in today.
Thanks for stopping by. How you doing?
Doing pretty good.
Excellent.
This is incredible. I mean, it's so generous of you to open up your space to us. An artist studio is a sacred space, and this is a temple of your work, and it's just wonderful.
Would like to see the religion for which that temple belongs.
Well, we may be able to get to it here today.
Possible.
With this visit. Steve, you are from the Quad Cities?
Yeah, born in Cedar Falls, Iowa, raised in Bettendorf, did kindergarten through high school there, so
nice.
Cedar Falls barely counts, other than that's just where things started.
Gotcha. Were you always artsy? Were you always an artsy fella?
Yes, well, 1977 was a big year.
Okay.
So 4 most of the year, and then 5 at the latter half. But 2 things happened. Mm-hmm. Star Wars came out, and the Rankin and Bass Hobbit came out.
Oh, Rankin Bass Hobbit. Now that's a cut.
Yeah, it's on HBO Max right now. If I'm not quite ready to go to sleep, got a half hour to kill, I'll watch The Hobbit for 30 minutes and then, go to bed. But yeah, those 2 things really got me drawing and interested in making. I didn't think of it necessarily as like a career. Like, as a kid, I kind of thought like, well, either you worked at Happy Joe's or John Deere. Like those are your 2 options.
Taco pizza or tractors?
Yeah,
which one you want?
Or both, And so when I went to college, and I didn't really want to go to college. I didn't particularly enjoy K through 12, and nobody explained to me really the difference between college and other things. So I was like, well, why would I pay for more school? Yep. Like, I've really not liked this first 12 years you've had to offer. Why would I pay for it? And then went off to college, and it was absolutely great. But when going there, the summer before, we had to take like placement tests to see if like we ate the paste or if we actually could put together sentences and things like that. And there was the dreaded, what's your major going to be? What are you going to do with the rest of your life? Right. The question you're always ducking when you're a teen. What do you want to do for the next 60 years? I don't know. Get done with high school. So I wrote down art, which was probably the best dumb decision I've ever made. The best, no thought to it whatsoever. But that instantly got me into art classes. And then that got me in with people that were interested in the same things that I were. And unlike high school, where you're forced by law to be there, these kids wanted to be there, and they were like the best students from their schools all coming together versus, and it's an anecdote, but it's the actual numbers. So Nick DeGioia was my high school drawing teacher, and we had 23 kids in drawing class this semester. I was in that. 17 of the 23 were suspended at least one time. One of them went to jail. Now you think about the Bettendorf high school population as a whole, and then what kind of Venn diagram have you brought together that you've got 17 that get suspended at least once? That was so atypical for that. And, I enjoyed the class, but again, it did not in any way sink in, I should be doing more of this. And then by the end of my freshman year in college, I'm like, I really cannot imagine doing anything else. So that was the light the rocket and the rocket takes off. There was no looking back at that point.
Absolutely. Now, I imagine you weren't doing
this stuff. No.
This is such I'm a lover of mixed media. It's probably one of my favorite mediums for physical art. Could you talk about your journey to arriving to this, your style, this current style?
So yeah, my undergrad was actually almost equal parts of drawing, photography, and graphic design. Graphic design because I'm going to get a job.
Right.
I want to be employed. I want to be a good citizen.
I don't want to starve.
Well, I've obviously not starved. I've been poor, but I've not starved. And along the way, it just became more fun, especially in the photography, to make the props and the settings to shoot the photographs than the actual shooting of the photographs. And then by the time I got done with graduate school, my thesis show had no photos in it whatsoever. It was like an installation and a performance. And that's part of why I went to Florida State University, is because it was not a media-specific program. You did not have to, if you came in painting and you only had to paint, or photo, just take pictures. This was whatever you're working on, as long as you're working on it hardcore, you can work with whatever faculty you want and come up with whatever body of work. So you can see in grad school kind of the prototype of this stuff, but it's still very crude, but not like in the fun way of crude, but just like, God, I hope you had fun making that, because that's ugly. And then it was just a few more years of refinement and some things like that. And I started to, for lack of a better word, kind of develop my own language with, what looks right to me and what looks incorrect, and just built up from that.
Sure. Was there any particular piece that you saw that made you like, I need to dabble in that?
I did go to the Guggenheim, and this would have been December of '95. My girlfriend from undergrad actually was from Long Island, so I went out to visit her.
Okay.
And did New Year's Eve in Times Square, '95 and in '96.
Wow.
And that's a thing you should do once a lifetime, and then I have no desire to ever go back and do that again. But there was a show there that just really blew me away, and I'm going to be half a tick on that. Klaus Oldenburg, there we go. And he had like a cardboard toilet that he made. That was just absolutely wonderful. And here's this material that absolutely is not something that should be in a museum. And I'm like, this is about as big of a museum as you can get, and that's very much a toilet bowl, and that's very much cardboard. Okay, we can do this. Because frequently that's a barrier in making art, is the expense.
Sure.
And the stuff I use is almost all scavenged. And I try to make things in a way that you can look at it and you can see how it's made. There's not some secret master technique. You're like, oh, that's just plywood screwed together. Okay, I could do that too. And then just how you can go from that kind of common start and try to make something interesting.
Yeah, nice. I related a little bit to that. Just there's a digital artist. Maybe you may have seen his work online, Worthy Kids. He's a Blender artist, 3D modeling kind of thing. And it's one of those things where it's like something, you see something and just strikes you as like, wait a minute, he can do that using his hands. I can do that using my hands. I'm aware of the tools that he's using. And then it just kind of opens a whole new world.
Yeah, and I don't want to do any kind of proprietary stuff. I want, when you look at it, like, oh, cool, that's everyday stuff, just kind of changed somewhat. Right. And like the Egyptians worked in granite and diorite and gold because that's the materials they had, mostly stone. We have styrofoam and cardboard and things like that. We've got tons of those. Are the materials of our age.
Right.
And from what I've been told, the styrofoam might outlast the stone. So who knows?
Well, let's talk about some of the work that you have around here, and we can move a little bit around. Well, this guy, who I'm sorry to mistake, who is this?
That is Twinkie the Kid. I don't have the lasso on him right now just because that would, I'm sure as anything, I'd walk into the lasso.
Right.
But gosh, that's got to be 16 years ago now.
Oh, wow.
2010. Well, I built that shortly after, but I read an article that was talking about how all the pop culture mascots are going away because of lawsuits.
Those little mascots do some bad things, man.
It would be a cooler story if that was it. But, there's still going to be Ronald McDonald charities. There's going to be the Ronald McDonald House. But Ronald McDonald is not going to be selling you hamburgers anymore. Grimace is not going to be selling you shakes. These companies don't want to be taken to court for making kids fat because they were marketing to kids. So all the beloved mascots of my youth were going away. I'm like, well, hell no, not on my watch. So I started making statues to honor these cultural greats. And then you'll see a few that are like my own thing. But I have a Little Caesar and a Statue of Liberty that you guys walked by on your way in. I've got Twinkie the Kid. I've got King Ding Dong on the other side of this stuff, and also Mr. Peanut and a Captain Crunch that's real early in its stage. But
aesthetically, I just want to mention that it looks like a discovered artifact, and I imagine that's intentional.
Yes-ish.
Yeah.
Well, some is I like it looking weathered, and some is it just got weathered.
Oh, okay. I got
Like it
you.
didn't necessarily beat it up, but just the transporting it to different shows and things like that.
That's all part of it, though.
Yeah,
That's all some of the magic.
It does not bother me to try to fix. That's now part of the record of the life of that piece.
Gotcha.
But I have, in one sketchbook, the day that I was thinking about doing this, I went online, I was looking up different pop culture mascots, and I have like 2 columns of mascots. If I were to make 2 of these a year, in addition to the other stuff I do, just make 2 of these a year, I'd be deep in my 80s before I executed just that one page from my sketchbook. And that's one of a whole, stacks of sketchbooks.
Wow.
So some of it's, desire, do I want to do it? And then some of it's space. Like, I could have a big summer and make 10 of these, and then, that's a lot of my moving around spaces now, now taken up. So.
Gotcha. So how long would you say the average piece?
Oh, geez.
You know where I'm going with this.
Yeah, that's a tough one to answer.
I understand.
On several accounts. One is that because these things are different layers, the painting of this is actually 3 different paintings.
Okay.
And so the first painting probably was done in 2004. And then somewhere after that was the second layer, then there was the third layer. And then the headdress and the figure actually didn't come online until 2018. And I was super lucky to get a Arts Dollars grant from Quad City Arts to help with putting together my show at the Figgy. And so I was able to hire a couple of my former Metro Art students I got the shapes all drawn out and had figured out what this was, but was able to hire them to actually cover them with fabric and do the prep on this and a few other pieces too. So
Gotcha.
that was a super program and definitely pulled my bacon out of the fire. But anyway, so to get to the how long does it take to make, frequently I don't know because
Right.
you know
you
if
don't know
it's,
when it's going to be done.
yeah, I don't know when it's going to be done. And to be honest, I still have the frame for this, which I've drawn out. I'll show you guys upstairs.
Oh, cool.
So the piece is called Wardrobe Malfunction. And then the top of the frame says the Emperor's New Clothes, and the bottom says in subsequent revelation of his woefully inadequate penis. And so I've got that, partially going. And I got a bunch of frames carved for that show, but there was a bunch that I just didn't. And frequently in the studio, I work on what I'm in the mood to work on.
Sure.
And I wasn't.
It's a rotation.
Yeah, I was not in the mood to carve after I got done with that show. And so, like, if you peek in here real quick, you can see the
I can see
King Ding Dong and Twinkie the Kid.
I gotcha. You can get a really good peanut angle from over here.
Hey, watch it there, mister. And so, like, this is something that's underway, and I just haven't figured out quite what I want to do with the bottom.
Sure.
And this was a piece that I sent down to Suriname. That was in one of the shows that we had there, and then sent it back. And then this is a different edition, sometime later.
You mentioned a sketchbook. So do you, how much of an idea do you start with when you start working on something? Like, is it just like a mix, not everything? Like, you don't have like a set workflow necessarily, but like...
I would say maybe 10% of the time I have an idea, I start, and I kind of pursue that.
Okay.
And stick to it fairly well.
Mm-hmm.
Most of the time, 90% of the time, I'll put some things down and try to respond to those. And I tend to have way more fun with that.
Yeah, let it breathe, let it evolve in your mind.
Yeah,
okay.
And so I think of kind of 2 different things, sort of like a band just sort of coming up with a riff. You're just kind of messing around. Then once you got a riff, okay, then we'll figure out the lyrics that go with this thing. We got to get something there.
Got to get the hook first.
Got to get the hook. Or if you hear comedians talk about doing improvisation, it's always yes and.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, we put this down and, how do we build off that versus no. And, get deep into a piece almost, I don't know, have you ever been to Venice, Italy?
No.
A real treat is to just walk around, not pay attention where you are, and then get lost. You're on an island, so you will find your way back.
Yeah.
But sort of that same thing with a piece. Just take off, get going somewhere, get lost, and okay, now the fun part can happen. Where am I? Where am I going to go with this?
Right, just make sure you know how to swim.
Yeah, well, they've got bridges, and they've got gondolas. But so I'd mentioned a Captain Crunch, so this is the silhouette a peer of Captain Crunch.
So it is.
For something that I started, and I probably covered that in Fabric 5-6 years ago. I haven't figured out the piece that it's going to yet. But that's the other thing I have to deal with myself. If I want to make it. Don't worry about where it's going to go. Don't worry about the consequences of it. Because if you say no, you shut it down.
Right. I really appreciate what you're saying here. I mean, I do have a little bit of a comedy background, so like my writing process would often be, work on something until you hit a roadblock, and as soon as you hit a roadblock, start working on something else because you're just wasting time trying to break through whatever this is.
And I look at it even a step beyond that, perhaps, that I need to grow. I need to change. Something has to happen with me. I've not read something. I've not listened to something. I've not taken a nap. I've not eaten something. I've not daydreamed and looked at the clouds. There's something I need to do to be able to get back to that, to move around it. But where I'm at right now, I'm just running into a wall.
Yeah, and wasting my time.
Yeah, just pivot to other things.
Great.
Because there's always something that needs to be carved. There's always cardboard that needs to be wrapped with fabric. I mean, there's always something that needs to be done in the studio. Or I can get back to that 2-page or that 2 columns of mascots. That is always there. So there's never a day where I'm like, man, I just don't have anything to work on.
Right.
Which I know artists have a problem with that. I don't right now, and I guess I should be grateful, but I'm curious, once you realize that can be a problem, that you would allow that to even exist in your studio practice.
Right.
Like just find a way to, when you hit a barrier, go do something else.
Yeah.
And somewhere down that road will be the answer to go further on the original road.
Yeah, you find hooks to other things, and they can all kind of relate to each other in your own little cinematic universe of sorts.
Yes.
Well, let's wander over this way.
Okay.
Is there ever like a narrative to your work?
There are parts that are narrative, little through lines of characters doing things and purposes to stuff. This piece is ultimately, when I get it done, going to be about surveillance. Keklopace, Cyclops, the one eye, the camera, kind of thing. I was just actually talking about pivoting, so I was stuck. Those 5 kind of green shapes that are all next to each other are going to have faces in them. I just haven't figured out the faces because it's easier to come up with current people, say like Elon Musk, for instance.
Right. But why immortalize him?
But there's also the freshness date on something like that versus coming up with like an archetype. And the example I use is back at the time, if you had a button pinned to your clothes that said impeach Nixon, that meant something. Now it's funny.
Right.
Oh, you're really still worked up about Nixon, are you? Way to go. And likewise, if you had something about Saddam Hussein sucks, now you're like, okay, you've dated it instantly, and then there's a fashion's not quite the right word, but it goes out of fashion. You put a freshness date on something. So I haven't quite figured out what those are, and since I've had other things to work on, that's just stayed up there in the cold storage.
Well, it makes it timeless too, then. So
maybe, or it just never gets done, and it's timeless that way. You ran out of time,
and not timely. Okay.
And so, like this piece is, you're talking about a narrative. There's the general idea behind it. I've got those 3 figures. They're forming a triangle that are, and this is sort of by archetypes. You can't recognize them as any particular businessman, but they're kind of kings, businessmen, conqueror sorts of jerks. And then I have this kind of indigenous sort of looking ancient figure, but even that's been corrupted with a bag of fries in there. And then you look at the outside on the frame and you've got like housing developments here, but then you've got more of like traditional dwellings of Native Americans and the bison and stuff like that. And then you've got the train coming through and basically the development of the plains of America. And like there's massive tons of room here, but there's just not room for you. You've got to leave. And so that's the interloper, the betwixt and between.
Speaking of leaving, as we journey this way, we might as well talk about it. Can you talk about going away from the Quad Cities and coming back a little bit?
Oh, sure. So, yes, I did undergrad in Missouri, and that was at least in part fueled by just wanting to be someplace else.
Sure. Yeah, I totally get it.
And my parents are perfectly fine people, very supportive, very kind. I don't have any like trauma that like artists are supposed to have. But I still, when it's time to go to college, I wanted to go far enough away that they didn't think, oh, we can just casually stop by. So for me, it was like a 3-hour drive radius or further away. So I went 5 hours away there, and then grad school I went down to Florida. Nobody came. I was there 2 years. Nobody came to visit.
Okay. Florida.
I was down in Florida, and so I don't know if you want to go the wood. Yeah, we'll do the wood real quick.
Yeah, sure, we'll do
I'll
wood.
show you the.
Let's do wood.
Let's do it.
We like wood.
And so undergrad was 4 years. I immediately went to grad school afterwards, which I do not recommend to people doing just because by 24 I had a terminal degree. And so there was just a lot of learning left to be done, but technically I'm a master at that point. I'm like, boy. So I tell students, take 3 to 5 years off, still keep working on art, travel, go see things, work as much as you can, and then, you know, on your artwork, and then do grad school once you've grown up a little bit. But yeah, I was just a kid.
Sure.
Even when I graduated, I was just a kid. So let me dig out. These are the sides of the wardrobe malfunction piece.
All right.
And that's the bottom and the subsequent revelation of his woefully inadequate penis. And I haven't figured out the rest of it yet. That's why I haven't really gotten into carving it, because I can tear off or add to a canvas. It's hard to uncarve a carving. Like once you've done that, you've kind of done that.
You got to commit to that happy accident.
Yeah, and so
how do you source a lot of your materials? Is it just like scavenge, or do you?
A fair amount of scavenge. There's donations too. Yeah, and a lot of this wood came from a demolition project I did. So so that's the top of the frame, the Emperor's New Clothes, and so I just need to kind of work out what's going on the flanks over there. And I was removing a bunch of old, actual 2-inch by 4-inch 2x4s. It's almost embarrassing how many I threw in the dumpster before. One day I was like, wait a minute, this is really good lumber. So then I started stashing it, run it through a table saw, turn it into essentially 1x4s, and it's just an absolute dream to carve. So
awesome. Kept
that, and at the current rate, should be done with the wood before I hit 60. So I'll have to get other stuff. But even that, I say that.
It'll get replenished.
And it'll get replenished. So like this was, I was helping clean out a warehouse, and they had these wood shelves that they needed gone. I was like, well, if your heart's not set on these being destroyed, I can dismantle them and keep this wood. Boom. So a bunch of my carvings actually recently have come from that.
Nice.
So, but yeah, this is mostly scavenged kind of stuff. This.
That's great. I love that. I love a good old-fashioned hotel sign.
And the skins on these boxes actually came from a project that Dean Kugler, Terry Rathje, and I did for the 10-year anniversary for the Figgy. We'd made like a beehive structure outside. They had all these different chambers, and it was kind of like a little labyrinth to go through, and each chamber was a different theme or experience. And then these were what was left of my ply. They were, we made it out of plywood. My plywood walls had this on them, so I've got these sheets of plywood. What I'm going to do, so I cut them up and turned them into pedestals, essentially for the ceramics, because I was having them at a show in Aurora a few years back, and they had really nice white pedestals, and my ceramics are kind of crusty, chunky sorts of things, so I needed like a transition pedestal, so these are a little more beat up.
It's got to match. Yeah.
So that's how those came into existence.
Now that Figgy show was back in 2018?
The 2018 was my solo show, and then the 2015 was the 10-year anniversary where we built the thing outside. And then actually, anytime you see this green wood, that was from Terry Rathje's solo show that was back in 2013, and Terry and I built a collaborative piece together for that show.
And you mentioned you were in Texas. What years were you in? Was that right when you got back then?
So grad school in Florida, mid-90s, 95 to 97. Texas was 97 through 2000. Then I moved back here in 2000, and I've been basically back here minus 3 gigs where I kept my apartment, kept my studio, taught for a semester, taught for a year, and then came back.
I gotcha.
So, because that studio is so awesome, I'm like, I'm not giving that up for nothing.
What was your experience like making art in other places? About the same, or was there any?
You try to, or at least I try to, capitalize on what they've got there. So like the times when I was in Missouri, I didn't do that much painting because I'm like, well, I can paint back in my studio. But the state of Missouri's paid for me to have a wood shop here. So I should be using that. And they've got, sculpture facilities with vent hoods versus just opening a door and hoping for the best. And so, the work, although consistent, still looks like the stuff I do. I'm like, why would I do the thing that, because my contract ends in 2 months. So in 2 months and a day, I'm going to be back in my studio painting. Why would I be doing that now when I don't have access to like these kilns?
Sure.
So I didn't show you, I'm not even sure if I got a piece super handy where I can grab it, but I have a box of ceramic bricks that I made. I just took sheets of clay, cut them into bricks, fired them, and sometimes I'll liquid nail them on different pieces. I did that back in 2006. I still occasionally use the bricks for stuff because I had access to a kiln.
Gotcha.
Or a dark room, like doing the cyanotype things or stuff like that. So that's how that changes, but not necessarily the vision of that kind of blend of, if you think of like an abandoned roadside Denny's in a Greek temple, and like some pop culture icons and maybe a whoopee cushion, you're probably pretty close to conceptually what's going on.
Clip it.
Done.
Talk a bit about all this scrap metal you got over here.
So yeah, last spring, well, a touch before that, we'll go back further in history.
I like it.
So talk about doing different work in different places. When I was in Florida, every semester we'd have a review, and since it wasn't media specific, you didn't know who was going to show up other than, you had your people that you worked with, but they would fill it out with just other faculty members. And every semester, Charles Hook, who was the head of the sculpture department, I was making kind of these relief collages. Well, you should cast one of those in iron. And I would say, oh yeah, that sounds like a good idea, with no intention of doing it. But just like, oh, that sounds really good. And this poor bastard, every semester, by the luck of the draw, gets to talk to me about it. Finally, my last semester, I'm like, yes, I will do one of these iron pours. I will cast something in iron. And showed up that day, and I was a newbie, so they just gave me a sledgehammer, and I busted up radiators all day. They probably had iron artists from at least a 300-mile radius. It was just a huge picnic. People brought their fiddles and stuff like that and played music. And then you had the guys that really knew what they were doing. They were just pouring metal all day. It was awesome. It was amazing. I graduated 2 weeks later. So it was something like, I'm like, you are stupid. You are profoundly stupid. There was this thing here that you could have done 3 more times, and you're just like, nah.
I got other stuff going on.
Yeah, my stuff's more important. Right. And so that was 1997. And I told myself, when I get a chance to do another iron pour, I'm going to do another iron pour. Fall of 2024, I just happened to be on Instagram, and I saw up in Dubuque, they're like, hey, join us tonight at the Smokestack for an informative meeting on an iron pour. Oh. So I called up Terry, and I was like, hey, Terry, do you want to go to Dubuque? Sure. Terry's retired. What are you thinking? About an hour? Okay, so I roped him into it, and we ended up, and it was a lot of trips to go up there because this woman, Tamsy Ringler, organized the thing, got a couple grants for it to help pay for, we had 9,000 pounds of silica sand that we had, and resin and stuff like that to make the molds. And then we had to do a radiator day where we busted up radiators, and then you got that kind of metal to bring back to your space to break up on your own to get down to about silver dollar size.
All right.
So I had to take that stuff and smash it down even further. And then, so last Mother's Day, it's just a little over a year ago now, we had an iron pour in the parking lot at the Dubuque Museum. It was great. And we're going to be doing one again, hopefully this fall. And since then, I had an opportunity to get a bunch of radiators from a property that was changing hands, and they were going to do remodeling. And so stashed out at Terry's place, because Terry's just awesome, are 15 radiators for when I can finally get people down here to the Quad Cities so we can do an iron pour here.
Oh, that'd be so cool.
Yes, exactly. So, and I want to get Tamsy, because when we got done and Terry and I were driving back for our last time, I told him, dude, that was like a 3-credit class. With all that we learned and how much we put into it, and I didn't think I would be having that experience in my 50s. So that was really cool, but I would like it to happen here.
Right.
So we've got the iron. Now we just have to, cross off a couple more boxes to get it happen, but I would like to have it done here.
Yeah. Oh, so, I want to go to that. That's awesome.
Well, you can participate. You can cast something in iron.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you don't have to just go.
Oh, what should we do? We got to think of something.
That's a lot of radiators.
That's a lot of radiators. Someone's going to call the cops. That's a lot of radiators.
A lot of radiators. But so yeah, I can send you a couple pictures from it. But we had like full body fire suit kind of protection on it. So yeah, this is the top half of Captain Galactica.
Oh, okay.
Chicken wire, plywood, spray foam, a lot of like blue jean material.
All right.
And then there's a paint called Sophisticated Finishes that actually has like iron filings in it.
Okay, yeah.
And so you put it on about 3 or 4 coats and then you hit it with this rusting compound. So instead of being rust colored paint, you've rusted
rust.
the surface. Yeah.
You cut yourself on this, you will get tetanus.
Somebody's going to die. But I've also been carving by it, so it's got like a lot of dust. But so that's super fun to do, but you don't have to then worry about the... You don't have the mass of the iron.
I don't know why I thought that. Even though you told me what it was made of, I was like, that thing's like 80 pounds.
So the thing that I showed you from the iron pour is heavier than this.
Yeah.
And it's much smaller.
Wow.
So, and that, again, I learned that technique from Terry. He, years ago, did research and found this product. And so it's a great way to make things that give you kind of that look, that kind of seriousness, but you don't have to deal with the logistics of how in the hell am I going to move this thing?
I mean, so you've expanded your toolkit in so many ways over the years. Is there anything you're still trying to add to it that you're aware of?
Absolutely, absolutely. So I wanted, when Mark Fowler was still around here, he always wanted me to do blow glass because he had a glass place. I'm like, dude, that's crack cocaine. I can tell right now. I'll do that 5 years later. I won't have done anything else, and I'll have like cuts and burns from all the glass. Like, no. Right. But I would like to do some cast glass, where you make something out of clay, make a mold, and then you put essentially glass powder, bring it up to heat, it liquefies, and then you cool it down slowly, and then what used to be your mold was made out of clay now is glass.
Okay.
So that would be cool. And then there's another thing. Called, and I'm gonna blank on the name. I'm not great. It is.
We can dub it in later. just move your mouth.
Tufting.
Great.
Excellent.
That iron thing's over there, right?
Yeah. So I can pull that out.
Let's have people see me struggle to hold that. Oh, I'm not holding that one.
Landscape.
Oh my God.
And I'll show you what it was cast from here in just a second.
Absolutely.
And so these are the sprues. This is where the metal got poured in here and flowed in. This is the piece that I actually want. But this is the top part. And this is a Greek temple if you want to get that here. And so I've started cleaning it up a little bit. I still got to get in there and file a bunch of stuff down. But it's made out of like wedding cake columns, little plastic columns, and that's cardboard and fabric. And okay, our time is drawing to a close.
I can hold it. I used to move furniture as a job.
Wow.
So and I'll go ahead and set that there. And then I'll show you the thing that was actually cast from.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
So, and then this is where the temple would fit on the top of that. Mm-hmm. So, and this is like squishy.
Oh, yeah.
Even. And this will ultimately get attached to a canvas. And then I've got to remake, the temple kind of got destroyed in the mold making process. I have to make another temple on it, but I'll have something that's on canvas version, and then I'll also have the metal version. But right now it's just sitting in the pile of, I'll get to it eventually.
Very nice.
Along with all the other things that I'll get to eventually.
Tell me about this piece.
Well, that's what we call Ode to a Tree.
Oh, yeah. Nice.
I worked on it for a while, and then I got bored with it. Okay, we're done doing that
shit. Get out. I will not tolerate such.
It's over. So, and then, this is like the chunky ceramics that needed like a transitional pedestal.
I love this.
Cool and clean. Yeah, and that's based off of like the train bridges, like just outside the door and stuff like that.
Absolutely.
So, and kind of that to me,
it's got this post-apocalyptic
gets to that abandoned roadside Denny's kind of thing, or an abandoned billboard kind of feel.
Now that should be an award for something, right? Like, hey, great job, you got
award for worst pun in an interview. And like this is just straight up kind of like a billboard shape.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I started painting on it. That's oil paint on there. And then I'll do something eventually to kind of finish that off. But that's where that is today. And it's been that way for quite some time. And then this is a little more to the point on the like the Greek columns and stuff like that. Then also with the industrial decay. So
What do you think draws you to that aesthetic?
it might be that experience in Italy of seeing like the old temples and stuff like that, but also the like something was a big thing. It was a big deal. It was an important space at one point. Or this gas station used to be a main stop. I'm thinking of like Route 66, and now it's not. It's almost a ghost town sort of thing.
And that's the closest thing we have to the...
And how quickly you go from this is where everybody stops to nobody even knew it was there sort of thing. And just, I find that process kind of fascinating, how quickly the thing, or a little bit different, but also kind of the same thing. Like when I was a kid, going to like the mall, North Park, Duck Creek, or South Park was the thing. It's not the thing anymore, very much.
Right.
And when did that change happen? Or even, this is a little more in the esoteric weird sort of thing, but so Duck Creek Mall when I was a little kid was an outdoor mall, and then they covered it and made it an indoor mall, and then by the early 2000s they made it outdoor again. And so I'm wondering if there's somewhere in there where you can point at the store that went in or the day that somewhere in there the trajectory started going down. And is that a definable moment? What was the thing that tipped it from a viable dealio to, no, you got to, 5 more years from now, this place will be defunct. Today it's good. 5 years it's gone.
The clock has started.
Yeah, what causes that?
Right.
So.
Very cool. Very cool. I had something I was going to say, and I forgot it. Just give me...
We'll put it in later.
Just give me a minute. Let me see if it comes back to me.
Thinky.
I'm usually so good about holding on to thoughts.
Oh, I'm shit.
I'm usually so good about holding on to thoughts.
Wait till you get to your 50s. It gets brutal.
Aesthetics. There's something going off of aesthetics. There's something going off of aesthetics. Well, it must not have been that important.
You'll remember it later. Damn it!
Yeah, I probably will.
And you talked about like people giving me stuff. So do you know Randall?
Matchbooks.
Do you know Randall Moore from Chocolate Manor?
Yeah,
used to have
yeah.
Chocolate Manor. So she had all these old matchbooks, and so I've drawn some of these, and they're on the list of stuff to draw some winter day when I'm bored. I've maybe done 15 of them so far, but I've got this bag. So there's a week's worth of drawings, and that same place that I took apart all those wood shelves was like a advertising clip art book that, what was the math on that? I think if I drew 1 row a day, because this was a pretty thick, like almost like an unabridged Bible kind of thing, that it was like 20 years worth of drawing. There were that many little things in there. Now, a lot of them are like old cars that I'd have to get some sort of magnifying glass for my old guy eyes to even see the lines to try to duplicate. But there's some things in some of the newer stuff I can show you that is clip art from that I've put into stuff. So there's also the finding things and putting it in the funnel, and then how long it takes to work through the machine and then actually come out in something that gets made.
Absolutely.
There's that delay.
You have this ever-growing body of work. Are you someone that thinks you're going to have an opus moment? Do you even believe in having like an opus of your work?
I think I eat well enough to avoid most opie. I don't know. I guess I don't think about whether I will or won't have one, but conceptually that sounds like cool to have like an amazing great piece. That's better than.
Do you think it's a common thing?
Having a whole streak of not great pieces.
Sure.
I would like to have one good one. I don't know. As I get older, I realize I don't know how other people think. Like I thought I did. I thought I had a good insight into it, and then starting around 2015, I'm like, I don't know shit. I don't know anything.
I think that's always the mark of the master, right? The more you know, the
less you know. Yeah. And so I know there's some artists that they need some sort of validation for what they do, people buying the work or being excited about it. I'm a lot more monastic that way. Like this is why I do it. And so as long as this process is great and I love it, and I really do, then I've already succeeded. If I have to rely on somebody else saying, oh, this is the best piece in the world, well, then that gets into trying to guess how other people think. And the road to hell is paved with bricks of that kind of intention. Like, I don't know what, some people like this stuff. Some people think it's the ugliest stuff they've ever seen. But I'm not going to stop making it because I'm having fun doing it. I'm interested in it. So to me, that's got to be why you do it.
Absolutely. Steve, thank you again so much for
not a
having us
problem.
here today.
Not
Is
a
there anything coming up for people to check out?
Not that I know of, but that's great. Okay. I've actually enjoyed that. I know that there's another thing. Well, you should have shows. Shows force you then like, oh, I've got to finish this piece, or I've got this sort of deadline.
Yeah, it's
and I had a couple shows last year that just popped up, and I'm happy to do those. But right now I'm not working towards any show. I'm just working on the stuff I want to work on, and some days it's painting, some days it's carving, some days it's staring at the roof, whatever. And I really like that way of working.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
So no, I have nothing. There's no reason to check me out whatsoever. I've abandoned my Facebook page. Thanks, Mark Zuckerberg. And my blog has not been updated in a while because I run.
You do post on your Instagram, though.
I do post on Instagram.
Steve Banks. Art.
Yeah. Yeah, my computer's old enough that I've got Windows 7 on it, and I can't get a new enough browser to put images on my blog. So my blog could just be words, but I don't even want to go read my blog if it's just words. So I haven't put anything on there, but I've got back posts and stuff like that waiting to go. So I have to kind of figure out what I want to do with that, because the other thing that's been interesting to me is there's, the traffic on the blog over the years, and then in the last 3 or 4 years, boom, I get thousands per month, sometimes 10,000 visits a month. Well, I know that's not people. My blog is now just training AI.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, do I even want to feed this beast, or what? Where do we go from here? I won't be using AI for my stuff, and I certainly don't want to help train it so it comes across as sounding more human sounding or anything like that. Fight the power. Yeah.
Hell yeah, man.
So that's kind of a tough one. I'm like, well, I'm supposed to self-promote, but if the self-promotion is actually just chopping whatever tree I'm in down a little bit below me, that seems like I'm doing more harm than good.
Yeah, it's a pretty fucked up time right now.
It is. It really is.
It's a pretty fucked up time right now, guys.
It's a pretty fucked up time right now. There we go. Well, take that. So do you have any other questions, comments, concerns? Oh, you're still recording.
Yeah. What I think we're going to do is I think I'm going to have the uncut interview put on the Patreon. Then we'll have a slightly cleaner one up on YouTube, and then I'm going to cut clips from the clean one, kind of thing.
I mean, I could take this off and just, if we're doing that.
I'm fuzzy too. Fuzz. Are we gonna have a fuzz off?
Fuzz?
No, we better not. We better not.
Well, I got the added bonus. I did not mention this. But I actually had a heart attack last year.
Oh my God.
Yeah, well, no, I survived.
Well, I know, but still.
Yeah, so I've got the
oh shit,
the bypass, quintuple bypass scar.
Oh wow.
Added bonus, Carolyn Martin, who I met doing the interview that you heard, we've become close enough friends that she brought me food multiple times when I got back home. She's super cool.
Nice.
Super duper cool. But
I'm glad you're okay.
Yeah, me too. Actually, I won't say this upsets my sister, because it definitely doesn't. But I was always a pesky little brother. And she's like, you would get a reset on something like that. I'm better off now than I was last year.
Oh, good.
All the pipes are cleaned out. I'm able to walk a lot further, exercise, stuff like that. Haven't had McDonald's, Hardee's, or Burger King. It'll be a year, June 4th. I've had one Wendy's, stuff like that. I still eat
They brought back the spicy nugs. He had to go back.
had to do it. And so that's sort of the added bonus. A quick story with, so my sister's name's Lori Banks. You can bleep that if you want to keep it. Anyway, so she was in 8th grade when I was in 5th grade. So I was 5th grade, Hoover School in Bettendorf. She was in junior high. And just it annoyed the hell out of her that she was always Steve Banks' sister. I was never Lori Banks' brother. And finally she was going to high school, and she's like, I get to be my own person. In high school, it's within the first couple weeks of high school Now, mind you, I've only been in elementary school at this point. I'm just trying to be 6th grade. Yeah, somebody came up. Hey, aren't you Steve Banks' sister? She says, what the fuck do you do in elementary school that the kids in high school know who you are? I have no idea. But so anyway, along those lines, like, yeah, of course you'd get a complete and total reset. So like, we caught it quick enough that there doesn't seem to be any damage to the heart or anything like that.
Oh,
so
wow. Fortune smiles on you.
On the dumb, or fortune smiles on fools, or something like that.
That makes your work even more, I think, dynamic in a kind of way that you had such a close call when you got these little pseudo monuments to the thing that almost.
And I do need to also point out that so when I went in that day with the heart attack, it was happening. They checked me out and go, yes, indeed, you are having a heart attack. And one of the doctors said, you have the heart of an 80-year-old man. That is not good. Well, we had just done that iron pour like 3 weeks earlier, and I've, a full bodysuit carrying around over 100 pounds of iron. Iron is 2,800 degrees to pour.
Yeah.
Like, I'm going to be a fucking dynamo when I'm 80. I don't know that I'm going to make it that long, but if we've established that this is what my heart can do at 80.
Yeah, right. Yeah, for sure. So I'd say your work is pretty physical. I mean, you got a lot of moving around you got to do.
Yeah. And it was getting to where, like, I would move something, then I'd have to sit down and kind of go, but I had thought I had toasted my lungs with COVID. Oh. And there wasn't fucking anything I do. Well, it turns out all the air was going in, but it was never making it to the blood.
Damn.
So that was a thing. Anyway.
Thanks again.
Eat better, exercise.
That's a good one to end.
No, it's not.
No, it sucks. I actually hate it.
Makes me sad on the inside. No, it's... I had fun last year. Even I was in the hospital for 9 days, and I don't recommend it as a party for people, but I'm like, this was a good summer. I don't know what to tell you.